Hi everyone, I'm Theresa V, an international teacher, speaker, mentor, and angelic channel. Each month I take what's going on in the collective and I speak with the angels about what they need us to know. This month there are so many messages coming through from the angels as we prepare for September. Very often that is a new cycle for us. It's almost like a mini New Year's. And so there's always something in our system as the weather starts to change into September weather that cues to us that it's time for a new beginning. As the angel spoke with us in August about nurturing ourselves very deeply and making sure that we are really well sourced for things before they come up in our lives, it's like that message is carrying through September and amplifying in a new and different way. And as we step back into the world feeling nurtured and well sourced, the angels are asking us to look at these places where disempowerment is very subtle in our systems. And one of the things that feels important for us to shift our attention and focus to is when we do say things like we're genetically predisposed to certain things, illnesses, behaviors, other things that we feel that we've inherited through our genetic line. And maybe even that science has said to us, you are more at risk because this has happened in your family line. There is a subtle message of disempowerment that comes with repeating those things to ourselves. We can take that information and we can use it as just information. That's all it is, knowing that this was given to us as a gift to help us to shift and change some things that might be roadblocks. The important thing for us is to not own that information and say, okay, I accept this as 100% true. Because it may not be the illness that you're genetically predisposed to. It may be your relationship to stress that exacerbates things in your system that lead to the illness. Or your relationship to food and diet. It may be behavior that you learned. And that makes you predisposed to certain situations that would exacerbate certain disease in your life. So these are the things that we need to look at, because when we just take things as they are given to us and adopt them, then we are disempowered in those areas. But when we use that as really important information to help us to make choices from an empowered place and not from a place of fear, then we are using that information in the way that it was meant to be used. There are things and there are situations where we feel perfectly comfortable just washing our hands and saying, well, that's just the way it is. And what we've learned from all of our metaphysical study is nothing is just the way it is. Everything can be molded and changed and shifted. And that feels really important to remember all through September. There are a few things happening at the same time for us. For many, many, many light workers and spiritual people, there is this strong desire for community. There is a strong desire to meet the people who can have the conversations with you, who can hold you the way you hold other people, who can be your true friends in so many more ways than the limited relationships you've had up until now. Even though some of those have been incredible, you couldn't be your fully expressed self and be completely accepted in a lot of those circles. I can't tell you how many people I've spoken to over the last few months that are saying, I really, really want my community. And so the angels are saying, this is something that is awakening within us, this memory of how to have community that functioned for the good of the whole, so that we start actually looking for each other and forming those old ways of community, or those new ways of bringing that energy of community into our day-to-day lives. Many of us carry seated memories of these lifetimes where we did function in society for the good of the whole, where people didn't have to do things on their own. The community was there to be the wind in your sails and to help out when you needed. And everyone pitched in different ways, and every decision made was for the good of the whole. And this is a necessity right now in our world, and this is waking up in many, many of us who are the keepers of this wisdom. The big message for all of us is you don't have to do it alone. There have been many places where we felt like we had to go it alone, or when we're speaking about something, we feel like we're the only one in the room who feels this way or who understands concepts, and that is changing. We don't have to go it alone anymore. People are waking up. All people are waking up in varying degrees. And so this is really good news, especially if you've been feeling lonely for many years or for just a little while, or if you suddenly woke up one day really longing for community who understands you and who you could have these deep and meaningful conversations with. This is a good time for us to make those connections energetically. And the angels are saying the best way we can do that is to continue to really nourish ourselves, really listen in to so that we can maintain more of a balance instead of having these moments where we're exerting all of our energy until we just crash, and then we have to replenish ourselves before we can start doing the next thing. So if we're nourishing ourselves as we go along, the energy will be more steady instead of being so up and down. And this is going to allow us to hold a vibration that is more consistent for a longer period of time, so that our manifestation of things in our lives, the visions we're holding, will be fueled in a better way, in a more consistent way, and we will see the results much faster. We will feel the results much faster. Instantaneous is the way things are happening. If we cut somebody off on the highway, almost instantly somebody else cuts us off. We're working out karma really, really quickly now. And so this is just like that, where when we maintain a higher vibration or when we maintain a more consistent vibration, things that need to be moved to be put in place for the things we desire and the outlook we have on the world to manifest itself can happen much more quickly because the energy behind it is much more consistent. And in this way, the energy of fear will not be able to affect us, whether it be in our field or in our mind or in resonance with something we've experienced before. It will not be able to affect us as deeply. And this is really important because we're starting to manifest and build. We're starting to really lay the foundation for what comes next. How do we dig ourselves out of this hole that humanity has put themselves in? And we're laying the foundations for that work. And part of what happens when fear gets in and affects us is that we start to close our heart centers. We start to close our hearts. We close ourselves off to each other. And when we close our hearts, we close ourselves off to our divine guidance. We close ourselves to the places that are waking up within us, the wisdom that we hold, whether we've learned it in this lifetime or in past lifetimes, or it's come to us through our genetic line, through all of the wisdom that all people who are connected to us have gathered over their lifetimes as well. So when we close ourselves off to these things, creative solutions get closed off. Our creativity is closed off. So right now we need as much access to creative solutions as is possible. So we can do this by living from a place of open-heartedness. And in order to do that, we have to be open. We have to be nourishing ourselves from the inside. We have to have a more consistently steady energy. And we have to be in a place of trust. The principles in spirituality that we have studied, yes, they do apply to us as individuals as well as everyone else in the collective. So this is really important this month. Sourcing ourselves well, really striving to live from that place of open-heartedness, knowing that aligned community is searching for us as we're searching for them, and knowing that our angels are with us, offering to give us help and love in every moment of every day. They will help us anytime we ask with anything that would help us to be more in a space of peace, because we are so needed to be that energy of peace. And when we are there, we can ripple it out to the rest of the world and allow everyone to feel that space of peace, if only for a moment. If these messages resonate for you and you would like to be in community more of the time and feel the presence of the angels more and more, please consider joining us for our Angel Transformation Hour this month on the 25th. It's a donation-based call, and all donations get shared out with a charity that I am inspired by the angels to share with that particular month. The angels will be sharing their wisdom as well as answering your personal questions, and it doesn't matter how big or how small each question is. Everyone is welcome on these calls, whether you can donate $5 or $5 million. We are all one and coming together to set the energy, to connect our hearts and our love, and to offer it back to the world from this place makes such an impact. So I hope that you'll join us in our September Angel Transformation Hour. And I invite you to share these videos, to share the energy of the angels, to share the messages, and to share the love so that each and every person on this planet can be touched by the heart of an angel today. I thank you for being here, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon.